The NFL has never seen this before. Quarterback Josh Allen signed a $330 million contract with the largest guaranteed total ever given to an NFL player. My name is Maeve Miller, and I am a member of the Bills Digest team, so please subscribe to our channel on YouTube for all the latest updates on this offseason. So I want to talk a little bit about this record-breaking contract. As I mentioned, it was $330 million over 6 years with $250 million guaranteed. And this put him from the 14th highest average annual salary to the second, tied with Dak Prescott. And he also, Tom Watson had the record for the highest guaranteed total, and Allen just overtook that. And this is very exciting for Bills fans. We've always thought of him as a franchise player, but this kind of sealed the deal for that. And we'd have him until the 28-30 season, where he'll be 34 years old, but hopefully it'll be longer. And yeah, this is very exciting. He had an MVP award this year, and every week it just felt like he was breaking more records, and he was always in the news, and so were the Bills. And most notably, he was the only player in NFL history to have 25 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns, and fewer than 10 turnovers. And the turnover is definitely a big deal because people always like to call him overrated, because even though he was a very strong offensive player, he'd still be making turnovers and interceptions. And obviously he got these numbers down very low this season, which was exciting to see. And even though we didn't make it to that Super Bowl, the Bills had an amazing season, and Allen has just stated again and again how he just wants to bring that Lombardi Trophy home to Western New York, and I don't think he'll leave until he does. So I wasn't surprised by him getting this re-signed, but I am still very excited about that. And McDermott and Brandon Beane have only just said amazing things about Allen. This was a quote from a few weeks ago, and it said, "I love Josh. I'm so proud of what he's done, and so I could be here all day talking about how great he is and what he's done for our team and where he belongs in the pecking order of all that stuff." He and I have a great relationship. We talk a lot. So obviously it's very exciting when you want your general manager and quarterback to have a great relationship. And Beane even said he'd trade himself before he trades Allen. So I just find that really funny. And if I was him, I'd say the same thing. So yeah, obviously Bills fans are very excited, but the public always has something to say about Allen. I don't know why. I just think over the years, people just love to talk badly about him. So this was a tweet on the post that was about the re-signing. And we see overrated, chokes in the playoffs. How many Chiefs playoffs does this guarantee? The Bills are going to be mediocre for so long. Are they ever going to win a Super Bowl? And it's just funny how the Bills making to the AFC Championship and making it to the playoffs every year, the past 5-6 years, makes them mediocre. I'd like to see these people's favorite teams go up against Patrick Mahomes year in and year out. So that's just funny to me. And who knows, this could be the year. They're making a lot of changes. And they beat the Chiefs during the regular season. So I just don't know why this mediocre thing gets pushed around so much. Obviously, bugs me a lot, but that's okay. And yeah, this is all just very exciting. We have the face of the franchise. And hopefully in these coming 6 years, we can bring a trophy home to Western New York. And then, so next I want to talk about how this affects other signings, because obviously this was a huge contract. So yeah, with that $330 million, it definitely does affect how the salary cap is and other things like that. We've seen on that same post, there's a tweet that said, at this rate, they won't be able to pay enough for players under the cap to field a team, which, there's a lot of jokes make about it, but it is kind of a serious thing because the Bills do have salary cap issues over the last couple of years. And one of the biggest questions this raises is about key players like James Cook and Christian Benford, who are looking for that extension. Cook has been very vocal about. He thinks he deserves that $15 million salary, and he has had an amazing season. I would say a breakout season for him with over 1,000 yards. Was key in the playoffs with 3 touchdowns, and he just was a very impactful player for the Bills this year. But that $15 million asking price might be a little too high. And then also Christian Benford, for a defensive end, he has had a great season as well. And the past couple of years, you can just trust him on the field, which I really like. He's young, and quarterback is obviously a very valuable position to have. And he's just showed time in, time out that he can be trusted on that field, especially after losing players like Tre'Davious White and Jordan Poyer. So yeah, there's been a lot of talk about whether they'd be able to sign James Cook and Christian Benford, and it's looking like from what they can afford. It might only be one of them because both of them are asking for a lot of money. In my opinion, I think Christian Benford would be the better choice because the Bills' offense can be successful. We've seen that it doesn't matter who is a wide receiver, running back, Allen can make it happen. And I do love James Cook. He played so well this year, but the Bills have made it to an AFC championship without him, so I think they can do it again. Whereas the defense, I wouldn't say struggling is the right word, but obviously the offense is much stronger, and it'd be tough to cut one of the key veteran players on our team. Because running backs, I feel like, are more replaceable, and I don't know, I just like seeing Christian Benford on the field. But it kind of depends on if both of them are going to ask for huge contracts. Would Cook be willing to take a smaller contract? From what I've seen him post on social media, it doesn't look like he would, but you never know. And that kind of brings us into my last point, which is what players the Bills still need on their roster. So after the Stephon Diggs, when they got cut, they cut him. The Bills got a second-round draft pick, and that means that they will have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds, which is very exciting. And this is what they've kind of done in recent days. They've signed, like I said, Josh Allen. They've signed defensive end Gregory Rousseau for 4 years, $80 million. Linebacker Terrell Bernard, 4 years, $50 million. And wide receiver Khalil Shakir, 4 years, $53 million. And I'm happy with all of those. Shakir is probably one of my favorite players on the Bills. I just think he's so dynamic. Bernard and Rousseau have also been very key players. So I think that was all great moves. They've also signed wide receiver Josh Palmer. So yeah, they're definitely making moves on that. And it kind of does depend on what they do with Benford and Cook, because if they do cut Cook, it's raises the question of whether they need a running back. We do still have Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, who I love Ty Johnson. I think he's such a key player, and he can be the wide receiver and the running back, and he's just very trusted, and I know Josh Allen trusts him too. But I think the key is the defense. Our defense just needs a little bit of polishing, not bad, but definitely needs a little help in the secondary and defensive line. With Von Miller not on the team, could still get a contract, but to get cut, a pass rusher is key. And Matt Milano, who it just feels like he's been injured for so long. I know he was back this season, but you just never know if he's gonna be fully healthy, and I think that will be a key move to see. So I think in the draft, I think it's key to get these defensive players because our offense is very strong. I feel like that's just something that doesn't need too many changes to. As long as we have Josh Allen, we'll be okay. But I think if the defense were to be a little better than last year, I think the Bills have a really good chance of bringing home that Super Bowl trophy. So obviously we'll see in the coming weeks with more free agencies and extensions in the works. We'll see what Brandon Beane does, and obviously the draft. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with that. And yeah, I think this, with what happens and with a little more polishing, the Bills definitely could have a chance of making it to the playoffs for another year in a row and hopefully beating those Chiefs. Thank you for watching.